And we are back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Dark Phoenix Gaming here, and welcome back to Responsive Web Design with FreeCodeCamp. We left off last time, having just finished Learn Basic CSS by building a cafe menu. Today, we are moving on to Learn CSS colors by building a set of colored markers. Which, we did some stuff with colors last time, but we're just going to do more of it here. So, the goal is going to be to finish about half of this. Because half of a section in a single video seems like a reasonable amount to me. Start out, and we're trying to build that thing. As you've seen in previous projects, one site should start with a doc-type HTML declaration, followed by an HTML element. We will add those then. When we're doing this in an actual code editor, we will not have to. But that's not what's happening here. There you go. Now, give ourselves a head element followed by the body. We do have to open and close both of them. Title, blah. This stuff we've gone over a few times now, so I'm gonna skip out on reading it. But inside of the head, we want a title called Colored Markers. Alas, I'm still not able to give FreeCodeCamp money as much as I would like to, so we're gonna have to put up with what they're asking me to. And me rejecting. But I will repeat my assertion that if you are in a position to give them money and you want to support a platform like this one that offers free education in programming and the like, then I encourage you to donate to them. They really do deserve it, in my honest opinion. Now, we'll go inside the head element again, and create a meta with charset UTF-8. Not 7, not 9, 8. And that is self-closing, so I don't need to do anything else. We'll be doing is adding a second meta tag for viewport and content. That's that then. So, time to start on the actual body. Give us a header with this. are titled. In this project, you'll work with an external CSS file to style the page. We've already created a styles.css file, but we need to link it before we can actually use it, as we went over last time. And that's the first thing you should check if it looks like your CSS isn't working. Have you been a dum-dum and forgotten to link your external file? Yes, that's the easiest thing to check. Go. On to step 8, and we target the H1 element and give it a text align property of center to center the text. Same as pressing the center text button in Microsoft Word or LibreOffice. To cite the one that I actually personally use. That is the easiest bit of CSS you will ever learn. Now, it's time for us to add some more elements that we're eventually going to style. So we'll start off below that H1 by adding a div with the class of container. You're going to see class names like container and grid and flex a lot in my code once I start doing videos on personal projects rather than this tutorials shit. So that's going to be a frequent ask that will be turning up for me. There we go. That one's donesy. And within this div, we want to add another div with the class of marker. Yeah, divs within divs is a thing you have to watch out for. There's a concept that I've recently become aware of in programming and development, especially to do with web development, because that's really the only place where HTML does anything. But it's called div soup, where you nest a div within a div within a div within a div, and then before long it reaches the point where, unless you're using a code editor or a specific add-on for your editor that makes it so that you can actually highlight one of the divs and see where the other is, it becomes pretty much impossible to figure out where one div starts and another ends, because they all just sort of blend together. That's one problem you need to watch out for when you're nesting divs within each other. So don't do it too much, is the TLDR, from what I'm able to tell. And now it is time to add some color to this marker. We will do this by creating a new CSS rule to target the marker class. And give it a background color of red. Given my propensity for doing this with the actual RGB colors or the hex, it feels strange to actually just be naming the colors, though, I have to say. And yes, as it says, the color's been applied, but because the div doesn't have any content in it, it has no height by default. You can just set the height as it's doing right here, or as I have done in a couple of projects back when I was a noob, you can just add a single letter of text in and then make that text transparent. That's probably a dumb way to do it, which is why I don't do it anymore. The method they're showing you here for if you need a div to be present but don't want to have any text in it, the method they're showing you here is definitely smarter. Follow that one. Our marker would indeed look better if it was centered on the page. An easy way to do that is with the margin shorthand, which we set them all separately in the last one, and I mentioned that you could do it all with one property. And since we just want it to be in the center, what we're going to do right here is just set the margin to auto, so it will automatically set them all, rather than us having to go through and figure out the precise value for everything. And now we've got one marker centered with color, so it's time to add the others. And because we need two more of the exact same thing and there's not any special content to tweak, I'm just going to copy and paste to speed things along. And you can already see what the problem is. They just all sort of blend together when we definitely don't want that. You want to be able to see them individually, and you probably don't want them to be the same color. Yep, just like I thought. You have three separate markers. They look like one big rectangle. You should add some space between them to make it easier to see. And the shorthand margin property has two values. It sets margin top and margin bottom to the first value and margin left and right to the second. Although sometimes it will just decide that it doesn't want to do that and just not work. And you won't be able to figure out the reason. So you'll just have to use the separate values because it's the only thing that doesn't muck it up. CSS is still to me kind of like arcane sorcery at times, so I sometimes have to go with the if it works then it's functional, don't change it approach, even though I know that's very suboptimal. But for this, we add 10 pixels and then auto to make it look like separate bars, which gets us where we need to go. And to give the markers different colors, you will need to add a unique class to each one. Multiple classes can be added by listing them in the class attribute and just adding a space. That's what we're going to do here. Again, add 1 to the first marker div. And to remove the background color from the first one. And we're going to be just adding colors individually to the classes we'll be adding because they're going to have a different color for each. So that is a case where we want separate bits of CSS per. Now, create a new class. Targets the 1, although if it was me, I would have named the classes after the colors personally, but that's just my personal organizational flavor bleeding through there. Anyways, background color can be red on that first one. The others need 2 and 3 respectively. There we go. Now I'll copy this and we can just modify it as needed.